I was asked how I would go about modeling something like this with these coffers and these curved ribs in SketchUp. So my first looking at this piece, I noticed that basically 3 ribs and 3 coffer sets is equivalent to about 2 booth spaces back to back. There is one special one in the middle that has like a rib and a half, but that was like the odd rib out. I've been looking mostly at the furthest most one and what appears to be the closest one. This seems to have 3 ribs and then again 2 booths. So going some research, I found online that a booth spacing could be between 74 and 76 inches. So if it's 2 booth spaces at 75, that's 150, which means each coffer then would be 50 by 50. So I started SketchUp and I used the rectangle tool, clicked the point, move my cursor away, typed in 50, 50, press enter, and that's my beginning of my coffer. Now, whenever I model in SketchUp, I try to find pieces that can be made into components and rotated and so forth. So in this case, this coffer really is one corner rotated 4 times. So I'm going to model only a quarter of the area. Using the tape measure tool, I found the midpoint of each side here. So I will really only do this piece right there when I'm totally done with this particular element. Using the offset tool, I'm going to click in and go in about 3 inches, because looking at the rib, looks like from the center of each rib to the edge of the coffer, looks about 1.5 and 1.5. So 3 inches would be the total amount. Now that I got that, I would then need to figure out where I would have to put the curve here. There'd be a curve right here and how it is. Again, looking at it, looks like it's about 4-inch radius. Use the tape measure tool and come in 4 inches from this side and 4 inches from here. I will have the center point of a circle for that rib. Cleaning it up, you can see right now I'm starting to get this rib shape going right here. At this point, I can also go ahead and get my quadrant started. So all this here we really don't need. I don't need to model it, and honestly I kind of don't need to have it around quite yet here. So this rib piece right here, I need to get some thickness to it. So I'm going to select the surface, offset, and offset outwards 1.5, and that will give me the distance I need for that little rib piece. I like cleaning up along the way, so I'm going to clean that up there, and I don't think I need this anymore. So here's my little piece of the coffer. So it looks like this coffer is 24 inches deep. So I'm going to do Control Push Pull and get 24 inches here going upwards, and 24 inches again going upwards this way. While I'm at it, I might as well soften this edge using the eraser tool and the Control key. I can soften this edge so it's smooth. Might as well do it as I go, clean up my model. And then underneath I've got to reverse these faces. This is the back side, which is the blue colored. Reverse faces. And I'm going to push pull this part down about 1 inch. So this is kind of my quarter coffer. To keep things simple, I'm going to clean up again the model. I like to clean up along the way so that some stray lines won't pop up later on. And I can see there's some little guys right here that might cause problems later. And I might as well do some softening here. Alright, it's time to make this thing a component. Triple click it, right click, make component. I'm going to call it quarter coffer. And so then if I go ahead and do the copy command, use move and copy, and then the rotate tool, 90 degrees, and then move them together, you can start seeing how this coffer is getting kind of made. And I think it is creating a smaller size model. I'm rotating that 180. A smaller size model than you would have gotten if you actually made the coffer out of all individual pieces. This coffer would then be, I think, about 12 feet, looks like. Yeah, if I, again, taking a look at the picture, imagining a person standing there, imagining this person here, you can kind of see that this coffer is about the right height, give or take. And again, that's something we can play around with a little bit once we get it up there. Now we've got these basically unsightly joint seams. Of course, we're not going to want to see them. So if I go into one component, I can go ahead and select this area and either hide it, or what I prefer, put it on a layer that I can turn on and off. So here's my layer manager over here. And what I'd like to do is make a new layer. And for that layer, I'm going to call it like no plot. And I'm going to select the ends here using the window technique. And I'm going to put them on the no plot layer. I can grab up here, click no plot, go over here, grab this side over here, again, up here, no plot. This is the layer toolbar. And so now if I turn off the visibility of no plot, now we have what seems to be a seamless coffer. If I select this coffer and again make a copy of it and select it again, make a copy of it, you can see that it's starting to look somewhat like the shape I'm trying to grab. All right, the coffers don't have this line here, so just as before, I'm going to go into this setting and I'm going to go ahead and select these edges and put them on the no plot layer. And now you can see it looks pretty much like the photograph. I can kind of almost see how this thing's going together. So now for the sloping piece, I'm going to select this portion and I'm going to copy it here. And I'm going to use this to create the curved portion. So what I want to see is I want to basically get this edge back away to where the curve begins and begin a new piece there. So this is going to become a new element in this model, a new component. So I'm going to select it, right click, make unique. And then I'm going to right click entity info and I'm going to give it a name. Right now it's called quarter coffer 1. I'm just going to go ahead and change it to rib. So the beauty of having no plot as a layer is I can make it visible now, and so now I have that edge there because I do want to see that edge here. I'm going to double click it. I'm going to push pull this back to where the curve begins. In other words, you'll see it's going to stop. It's going to want to stop right where that quarter circle begins, and that's perfect because that's where I want to start my sloping piece. So I'm going to get out of that component, and then what I'll do is I'll create a rectangle here, and we'll go over, it looks like 24 inches to where the curve is, and then down to the ground. I'm going to go all the way down to the origin. So I'm going to push pull down until it comes to the origin. And this is going to be the curved portion. This will be the curved portion of my rib here. Again, I'm going to use the tape measure tool to locate the center of my circle, 24-inch radius circle. So I'm going to go down another 24 inches. And I'll do the circle command, click here, and I'll go straight up to the top. And so now I basically have created an arc that the follow me tool can follow. I can keep it like this, but it's kind of segmented. So I'm going to type in, instead of 24 sides typically that a circle would have, I'm going to type in 96S, and that will smooth that curve quite a bit. So while I'm still in the circle command, I can change how many sides the circle has. And you can see it looks much smoother than it did before. Right. So I'm going to go ahead and basically erase these parts because I only need this line right here. I really only need this line. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of erase all these little pieces. Perfect. Down here, I'm going to erase this piece here. And so I just have one single line. And guess what? This spline, this piece here is what's I'm going to follow down using the Follow Me tool. I'm going to double click on it, select that surface, and do Edit Copy. Then click to get out of the component. And then do Edit Paste in Place. And so that piece, that profile has been pasted there now. And I'm going to move it to the layer 0. I'm going to make sure it's in layer 0. It looks like it is. That's great. That's what I'd like it to be. So to use the Follow Me tool, I would select the path, which is going to be this line segment. Oh, I don't need that down there. This line segment. Then select the Follow Me tool, which is this one, and then select the shape. So select the segment, select the Follow Me tool, select the shape, and you can see there's the beginning of a rib. Now, it's been flipped inside out, and so I see all this blue area here. I'm going to just select the whole thing. Right-click, Reverse Faces. Again, as you work through a SketchUp model, always make sure that you are careful to the face you want to see is the front face, which would be white in this particular style. Now, this flange curves down, and honestly, that's not how it looks like in the model. It looks like it curves around a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is remove that back part. Select that and delete that out of there. Delete this shape out of here. Oops, this way. Yep. I still have the inside rib, so I still have the inside rib here. So now it looks like the ribs stick out maybe another foot or so from the wall surface. So I'm going to draw a line from here, a foot back. Then I'll go up in the blue, hold the Shift key to lock it in the blue to get the same height as the coffer. Then go back to the coffer, and then go down, and that should create the plane. Do the same thing to the other side. Select point, go across to line up with that. Go up to the same height, go back, go down, and the piece can, fold itself up here very nicely. It creates the shape, creates the plane. If I zoom up, I can see that I've got a little extra line on this piece. It kind of showed up as I was working on it. So I'm going to select and delete it so I don't have that line in my component. This is looking pretty good. Now, one other thing I noticed was that this piece also has a curving element on the inside. So it curves not only like around here, but it also curves on the back side a little bit. So I was figuring if I use this shape and I move it out, and then either flip along, right-click, flip along the red axis. I could then move it back over this way. And then what I want to do is I want to get basically this curve to line up with this piece right here. So I'm going to grab this kind of this flat spot, lock it in the red, and then line it up with this edge down here. Go ahead and make that unique. And then we can double click on this piece and pull this down. And then move it, keep moving it so it lines up with the rib. Because all I need from this inner piece is that curved shape. You can start seeing it's looking pretty good. We got the curve here, we've got the curve over here, and then I believe this does not go so deeply, so I can move this a little closer. I think this would be that shape. Again, we're just kind of guessing right now how this whole piece goes together, but that looks pretty good. I'd be ready now to select these two elements right here, and then do edit, cut, go into this component, edit, paste in place, so it lines up perfectly with that edge. Then I go ahead and explode it, right click explode, and I would just start cleaning it up. All over here, this will be all cleaned up. This, yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen. This one would need to be erased with control. So then we'd have to kind of finish the back side, maybe, because there's a curved element here, so I think I have to just draw it. Draw it back in to get the thickness. And then again, erase where we can. At 90-degree angles, you can erase. And if it's a curve, you'll have to use the control. But all these are straight pieces, so that's good. And this is coming along very nicely right now. I think this is really pretty exact what I can see here. The next step will be to try and find which pieces need to be no plot, and which pieces are no plot that shouldn't be no plot, and that kind of stuff. But so right now we're looking pretty good here. I like to clean up as I go. So if it can be, yeah, you can tell like that one was not. That's a curve. So I'll use the control feature here, and we'll have to get kind of close to this little thing. That's actually not a line, it's a little gap. I'm going to put a line here, and then we'll go ahead and use eraser tool to erase it. I think that, so after cleaning up a little bit, I'm going to see how this looks like. I'm going to copy it, use the move command, copy it across. Right click, flip along green axis, and then move it to line up with that. Select these two and move them as well. Now I'm going to turn my no plot layer, make it not visible, and I'm going to turn my no plot layer, make it not visible. And I can start seeing what pieces might need to come back in again. I can see right now that that's not going to work. I've got some pieces that were, when I did the follow me, that were no plots that have gotten all over the place. So I'm going to turn that back on again. Go back into my component here, and I'm going to select the whole thing. Put it on layer 0. Just put it on layer 0. And now go to no plot and start taking a look and see what parts of the components I need to take a look at. Well, this little rib here, I can tell it right now. This little rib here, if I double click, I'll get both the surface and the edge. Shift click, and then put that on no plot. All right, so let's go put it back on, turn it back off, okay. All right, these little pieces right here, I can see need to be taken care of, so double click, and I'm going to select these lines using the selection tool and the control key. And I'm going to put them in no plot. There you go. All right. Right now I have it set so that the component, if you go to View, Component Edit, Hide Similar Components, I've got that selected so I can get in there and just kind of look at the edges as I go into the component. So here if I double click and hold the Shift key and deselect, all those edges could go to the no plot layer. All right, I'm going to click out of this component. And I'm going to select this line, put it in no plot. This edge here, see how that edge is there? So there's an edge here I need to take care of. This edge here I need to take care of. I'll double click to get in the component. Double click on the double click on that surface. Hold the Shift key, deselect that so I only have the edges. No plot. And there you have it for that portion. And this portion here, I'll double click here. I'll select that line, put it on no plot. And I think that's pretty pretty good. I mean, you can see that it looks like how it should. At this point now, I can copy this around. One more flange. So this would equal 2 booth spaces. Double click here, and I see I got extra lines at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and erase these extra lines. I don't need them for this model. At this point, I can then double click in here and pull this up, maybe 5 feet or so, and that would be where the booth backs are. You know, those brown backs on the booth. And there you have it. This is how some coffers can be made, and this is done by looking at different parts. So 4 of them made one coffer, 2 of them makes the rib. And then we bring in components from the 3D warehouse to finish off the piece.